NASA has a number they assign to every mission, the probability that the crew doesn't come home. For Artemis II, depending on which estimate you believe, that number ranges from dangerous to a coin flip. And here's the part that should bother you. The astronauts know that. Before launch, NASA showed them photographs of damage found on the only component separating them from plasma hot enough to vaporize steel. They reviewed the reports. They asked questions. They saw the numbers. And then they said yes anyway. You cannot see the fire, but your body already knows it's there. The capsule shakes, not a vibration, a deep shudder, the kind simulations can't reproduce. Because simulations don't know what your body does when it realizes this is real. You are falling at 40,000 kilometers per hour. The air molecules can no longer move out of the way fast enough. They compress, they superheat, they stop being air and become plasma. The windows begin to glow, orange at first, then white, then a color with no name. You have 4 minutes. Before we talk about the capsule, let's talk about the people inside it. These 4 people are not fearless. That's a myth we tell ourselves because it makes the whole thing easier to accept. They are afraid. In the chest, in the stomach, in those 3 a.m. moments when rational thought shuts off and animal instinct takes over. The difference is not the absence of fear, it's what they decided to do with it. Reid Wiseman, years landing fighter jets on aircraft carriers. At night, runway the size of a tennis court. Aircraft at 250 kilometers an hour, the sea moves. No second attempt. He says it was fun. Victor Glover, combat missions, International Space Station. He knows what the silence of space actually sounds like, not the dramatic silence from movies. The real one, a sealed metal cylinder 400 kilometers above Earth, while everyone you love sleeps beneath you. Christina Koch, 328 consecutive days in orbit, the longest by a woman in history. 328 days of recycled air, recycled water, a body slowly forgetting how to walk. She came home, she relearned, and then she signed up to go back, this time farther. Jeremy Hansen, CF-18 pilot, elite athlete, the only one who has never been to space. The other 3 know in their bones what it feels like to leave Earth. Hansen is working entirely from imagination, which, when you think about it, may actually be harder and braver. November 2022, NASA launches Artemis I, an uncrewed mission, 25 days around the moon. By almost every metric, a triumph. The celebrations lasted until engineers recovered the capsule and removed the heat shield. What they found underneath, I'll come back to that in 30 seconds. But first, you need to understand what an ablative heat shield is and why what they saw was impossible. An ablative shield works by burning away, controlled, predictable. It sacrifices itself so the capsule survives. An ablative shield with unpredictable ablation is like a parachute that opens, but might contain random holes. It will probably slow you down. The cabin temperature was normal. The shield had held thermally, but the material had torn apart in a way nobody anticipated, and nobody could fully explain why. The crew saw those photographs, every one of them. Let that sink in. You are preparing to fly the most ambitious crewed space mission in 54 years. You've spent years training for this, and the people responsible for your survival are showing you photographs of an unexpected failure in the only thing separating you from plasma hot enough to vaporize steel. Then explaining that replacing the shield would delay a program already postponed twice. So you are going to fly with a damaged design anyway. What do you say? What do you feel? Maximum retention time, ultra-slow pacing, each sentence alone on the screen. Wiseman, Glover, Koch, and Hansen examined everything, the investigation reports, the engineering models, the risk assessments. They pushed, they demanded answers, and then the number was given to them. NASA's own estimate for loss of crew risk on Artemis II, 1 in 50. At the optimistic end, at the other end, a coin flip. NASA's officially acceptable threshold for Artemis missions is 1 in 30, and they climbed into the capsule anyway. This is the part nobody talks about. What do you do with that number for 10 days? There is a psychological phenomenon researchers call the waiting problem. It's not the dangerous moment that breaks people. Humans are actually remarkably effective during acute crises. The brain sharpens, time slows down, training takes over, people perform. What the brain handles badly is anticipation. The days before the thing happens, the knowledge that it's coming, the impossibility of fast-forwarding to the other side. Pilots know this. Surgeons know this. Soldiers know this. For 10 days, the heat shield is still there, under the capsule, waiting. You eat, you run experiments, you look through the window at a view of Earth no human being has seen since 1972, and it's still there. You are lying on your back in a reclined seat. The capsule is roughly the size of a large SUV. There are 4 of you. You've been inside this vehicle for 10 days. At entry interface, 122 kilometers altitude, the service module separates. Propulsion, power, water, air, everything your life depended on breaks away, burns up behind you. What remains? The capsule, the heat shield, and the parachutes you cannot use for another 8 minutes. The Guy's computer takes over. You are no longer flying. You are being flown. Within 90 seconds, the outside temperature exceeds 2,000 degrees Celsius. The windows begin to glow. Plasma wraps around the capsule, not like a wall, more like a fist tightening. And the radio goes dead. No static, no degradation. Dead. Now think about what you do with your hands. There is nothing to do with your hands. The computer flies the vehicle. The shield either works or it doesn't. You can monitor the screens, but the screens cannot tell you anything you can act on. You can talk to your crewmates. But what do you say? You all read the same reports. You all saw the same photographs. Silence suggested 2 to 3 seconds of music alone. There are 2 precedents the crew knows by heart. Apollo 13, April 1970. The service module had been damaged by an explosion. Nobody knew whether the heat shield had been compromised. The planned communications blackout, 3 minutes. It lasted 4, then 5, then 6. Gene Kranz at his console. Complete silence. And when Jack Swiggert's voice finally broke through, the room collapsed. Not polite relief, something more physical. The kind of response a body produces when it has held something impossible for too long. Columbia, February 1st, 2003. Foam insulation struck the thermal protection tiles during launch. Nobody noticed in time. During re-entry, plasma entered the breach. The crew received no warning. Mission Control only realized something was wrong when telemetry disappeared and never came back. Heat shield failure during re-entry is not theoretical. It has a body count, 7 people, names, families. People who had also spent years training, also reviewed the engineering, also decided the risk was acceptable. The Artemis II crew knows that story, not in their heads, in their bodies. And they are getting into the capsule anyway. The plasma reaches peak intensity. The windows glow. Under the capsule, the heat shield is doing something. Controlled ablation or fracture, you don't know. There are no real-time sensors that can tell you. There is only the cabin temperature, which remains nominal, which was also nominal on Artemis I right before they removed the shield. You think about the people who built it, the engineers who bonded those 186 Avcode blocks, the teams who ran ArcJet tests until 3 a.m., the investigators who said, "We understand what happened. We fixed the mechanism. It will hold." You think about Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, the 12 men who came back. Every one of them passed through this same fire. Every one of them survived it. The plasma begins to thin. The glow in the windows fades from white to orange to a warmth that is no longer fire. The G-forces ease, and then a sound. Not a voice yet. And then breaking through, Mission Control. Silence. 3 seconds. Music only. I told you at the beginning that I would ask you a question. Here it is. You saw the photographs. You know the coin flip. You know what happened to the Columbia crew, and you know there is no abort option, and that those 4 minutes are coming no matter what. Would you have climbed into the capsule? Pause. Let the question linger. Do not answer immediately. This is not a trick question. The answer is not obvious either way. The Artemis II crew, 4 people who had every reason and every professional right to say no, said yes. Because at some point in their lives, each of them made a decision about how they wanted to relate to fear. Not eliminate it. Not pretend it doesn't exist. Just stop letting it cast the deciding vote. Fear gets a seat at the table. It gets to show you the photographs. It gets to run the numbers, and then you climb into the capsule anyway. Because the thing on the other side of fear, the view of the entire Earth from 46,000 kilometers away, the moment when words run out, that thing is worth the 4 minutes. If the shield holds, if the signal comes back, if those 4 minutes end in splashdown or in silence, we'll know very soon. In the next video, I'm going to show you exactly what happens after those 4 minutes. And I'm going to show you something nobody ever shows. What the teams in Houston do in the minutes after the signal returns. Because that moment, the moment after silence breaks, is the most human moment in the history of spaceflight. Subscribe to Cosmic Odyssey so you don't miss it.